Since the last update on the access control system, I've refined various kind of bits of hardware and software and the operation. And so I think what we're looking at here is almost certainly the final version now. I'll run through a couple of the bits, but I mainly wanted to show the process as to how this will actually work. And certainly on the server side is now kind of looking pretty good, but I'll just run through the front end here. So I've added this LED in the front. This is a WS2812 LED, just in a 5mm package, and it is effectively doing the same thing as the buzzer. So normal operation, it's yellow, kind of amber standby. We've got, it turns blue with a card read, red if there's an error, green if it's good and active. And that is looking, I think that will kind of do a good job of kind of communicating what's going on kind of quickly and easily. There's not as much contrast between green and yellow as I'd like, so I might tweak the standby colour, but for now I'm pretty happy with that. The RFID reader behind here has also been changed for the newer low voltage type, so there's no risk of slight power kind of drop kind of affecting things. The rest of this system should be quite happy down to a slightly lower voltage, so that was the final kind of piece of that puzzle. So if there's a power drop, it shouldn't kind of lock it all up. And it's also the decent kind of type with the reset pin, which will allow things to go through. So when you scan this is an unrecognized tag, so it goes blue and then red. Most of this is just tied into the same subroutines that kind of make the sound, so that was kind of quite simple to tack in. If you scan a valid tag, the positive sound goes active and you get the green light. The only thing that isn't finished is the relay output. This red light that's flashing there represents the relay here that would get powered. At the moment that's just a debug to show it hasn't kind of crashed or locked up, but that will kind of toggle on at this state when the screen's active. Now in about 30 seconds it will start kind of toggling the reset pin and trying to kind of get a reread, and if not it'll beep and kind of carry on cycling. So here we go, so you might be able to see the red flashing light there. That indicates it's trying to do the reset. If I give it a rescan, it'll carry on. And at the same time, if somebody else wanted to come and use this system now, they could take their tag, give it a scan. Not quite sure why that's not reading this time. Okay, so you scan another tag and it will immediately log the current user off and attempt to log the new user on. But in this case, because it's not valid, the log on failed, but the log off of the previous user was successful. It's ready for the next person. I am possibly going to include some kind of final exit or log out button on this, simply because if you are finished using a piece of equipment, then you might want to give it, you might want to kind of get it right quickly. You don't necessarily want to wait for it to time out. But in addition to all of this, what's actually going on is when you first scan your tag, it kind of sends a start message. It sends your tag ID, the equipment ID, and a start notification back to the server. And it creates a database entry to say, hey, this person's started at this time. This is after everything's validated. And then every 30 seconds, it will send an update message, like a ping. And that updates kind of a last check-in time on the database record. And then finally, when you get logged off, either manually or automatically, it'll send an end command. And this will allow us to kind of accurately track the length of time someone has been logged in. So it's not just the start and end, but this kind of ping or update time means if there's something goes wrong, there's an error, network connection goes down, and we lose if we lose that kind of log off or end ping, we can safely roll back and say, okay, from this time to this time, we're pretty confident that the user's logged in. And so if something goes wrong, the logout doesn't happen, they don't get usage kind of incorrectly attributed to themselves. It's kind of playing it safe with this system. Also, a few of these things can be tweaked and decided, but and the other side of this is there's offline support at the moment. So every time there's a successful thing, the user's name and tag ID is stored in a local database and then reused for validation. This means if the internet goes down, you can still use the piece of equipment as normal, but you don't get, there's no kind of logging going on in the database. Whether or not we want that is something that can be decided at a later date. You can see here the kind of couple of database entries for the other side of this system. Now there's a few entries from the other day from testing and one or two entries just from kind of a few moments ago. One of the more interesting ones is the second line item here. This was when I got this working the end of last week. I left my tag kind of resting on the reader overnight, and it successfully recorded a single session going from kind of 12:30 through to 9 o'clock in the morning. And that was, it kind of showed the consistency of the reader, the fact that it didn't kind of drop out and reconnect, because that would have shown multiple lines. And so that means I'm kind of pretty confident with this system that it can successfully turn on something without it kind of turning off unwantedly. The entries from today, so this last entry here shows the point where I use the other tag to kind of take control, and it didn't successfully log out. There's a few things like that which I'm probably going to fix in software, but there will also be a process which runs through this data to fill in the gaps. So that finish date can be filled in from that last updated date. We don't know any better, so that is a good time to say that these are finished. It's the only safe time to say. So all this stuff can be filled in. This one here is a kind of a very quick entry. So I will refresh that, doesn't show anything new. Rescan my tag. So that's active beep, a refresh. And so you've got the new lines just being created in here. And if I rescan my tag again, this is the equivalent of the reader turning on and off after 30 seconds. It should show an update time. And so obviously if you move your tag in and out, it does force a reread and it forces that transmission. But every 30 seconds it would kind of do the toggle off, and kind of that's what would cause the kind of ping or update message. So if I let this time out now in about another kind of 10-20 seconds, it should transmit that finish command. Although, like I said, if that fails for whatever reason, then it can just be filled in from the last updated message. This kind of ensures we've got kind of accurate, kind of safe data. So into the last kind of 10-second countdown. So the user's now been logged off. There we go, we've got a finished entry in there. So that kind of shows that we've got kind of 1 minute's worth of activity against that user and that piece of equipment and at that time. And so this, it is, I think, a few more kind of tweaks here and there. I'm going to rewrite some of the back-end code to manage this, but other than that, I am pretty happy with the way this is currently working.